Listening. It takes practice, lots of practice. Are you listening to the adopted person's voice? Not just to their words or body language, but the story behind the voices, the emotion behind the story. Are you paying attention to what they are saying, how they are saying it? To hear the deep heart of an adoptee, you must come near, lean in, be present, fully present. Because that's the moment you will begin hearing, really hearing, what an adoptee is really saying, really longing for, craving, needing. Listen. Please listen. We need you to listen to our hearts. You see, for us adoptees, we were created like you, to feel safe, significant, understood, loved, wanted, needed, to feel like we belong. But our stories, our narratives, they got hijacked. And in that process, not only did our experiences shift, but our minds and hearts, they shifted too. The messages we were sent early on were just the opposite of the messages God wanted to tell us. They were distorted, untrue, encrypted, and for some, evil. We started getting a deep sense that we weren't good, that we didn't matter, that no one wanted or needed us, and ultimately that no one was going to fight for our hearts. But here's the tricky thing. Some of us don't know this. Some of us aren't able to tell you this. Some of us don't know how to tell you this. We don't want to have to tell you this. We want you to know this about us, about our hearts. There's something really mysterious about the human heart when it gets hurt. It gets quiet, it retreats, and sometimes it even shuts down. There's an amazing phenomenon that happens when the human heart feels pain. It knows to protect itself. And each time that word or person or barrier is shoved in its face, a taller, thicker, more resilient wall forms. It gets locked into place, it strengthens, and then after a while, that wall actually starts feeling good there, safer there, because now it won't ache. And so we need you to help us awaken our hearts. No, surely you don't have to. No one can make you, but you get to. When you step into the adoption process, you begin dreaming of all the ways that you will be able to help and love and provide for a child. You feel parts of you being called out in new and courageous ways. And then you finally reach that defining moment where you know without a shadow of a doubt that you just cannot not say yes to this invitation. You ask God to prepare you emotionally, mentally, physically, and that God would also begin preparing this child to be in your home, your family, your love. You want to be ready. You want your child to be ready. You wait, you anticipate, you imagine what it will be like to hug your child for the first time, what it will be like to look into his or her eyes for the first time, what it will be like to connect, what it will be like to become a forever family. There was this confidence deep within that God was going to do something miraculous through this child, through this adoption for you. And you were right. Yet, there was someone somewhere on the other side of your story. And this someone somewhere was about to lose everything. Everything. That he or she knew. This is part of your adoption story too. We want you to know this story too. Why? Because in order for you to gain someone, we had to lose someone. Because in order for you to love us, we had to lose the people that were supposed to love us. Because in order for you to have a forever family, we had to lose our original family. Because adoption isn't just about adding, not just about gaining, it's also about losing and leaving and letting go of everything. This is part of our story, and this part of the story matters deeply. It's inside of us. It's deep in our bones. Your story, our story, they mingle together, don't they? This chapter, the one where your story and our story meet, it starts feeling uncomfortable. But let me suggest this. Could sitting in this tension possibly move us to a new place, a better place? Could our ability to name and be present to this tension actually allow something to change or shift or be birthed in us? What if we allowed ourselves to hold this tension, recognizing that for one of the stories, there's anticipation and hope and joy and gratitude, and yet for the other story, there is loss and rejection and trauma and shame. And then what if part of the rest of the story is stepping into both of these realities, believing that there could actually be a gift there in it? And whatever that gift begins to be for you, for that child, that it could actually have the potential to move each person to a new part of the story, a place that would allow transformation and healing and restoration to take place for everyone. It's easy to understand why an adopted person needs healing. Our stories have distorted messages, missing people, fragmented identities, loss, shame, brokenness. But isn't this true for everyone? Have there been people and experiences in your story that have messed with you, told you that you weren't enough, or maybe that you were too much? Are there insecurities in you that have caused you to hide or shrink or blame or act out? We're all on a journey. This path to find more of our voice, more of what we're capable of, more of what we were created for. And I think if we're really honest, we all want to feel secure and significant and wanted and needed. We all want to feel like we belong. We all want to feel loved. We all want to know that we matter, right? Maybe this is what relationships are for, to preserve, to keep, to take care of one another. So here's the really hard thing. You can't protect us from our story. Because you care, you will want to rescue and fix and get rid of our pain. You can't. Oh, for sure we want you with us, beside us. We need you cheering for us. But we have to do our own work. We have to discover our own truth, our own voice, experience our own healing. No one can do this for us. But what you can do is create the kind of space and the kind of relationships for our healing to happen and offer a voice to us, reminding us that we are capable and strong and brave. You get to remind us that it's worth fighting for our hearts. You get to remind us of who we are and that we matter. Perhaps it's not about how you can help us move beyond our story, but rather how you're going to respond to our story. Will you allow our story to take you to the vulnerable places of your heart? Because if it does, your heart can then join our heart, our vulnerability, our suffering. Because in order for redemption to take place, weakness and brokenness have to exist. So how will you respond? Would you be willing to reposture yourself and allow this relationship to be a two-way street? Would you be willing to teach us, model for us, mentor us, and then allow us to do the same for you? Would you be willing to allow your choice to adopt to take you to a transformative place with us? Maybe you would learn to see more of you as you learn to see more of us. Let me be really clear on who we are. We may have been vulnerable. but we are not voiceless. We may have been victimized, but we are not victims. Yes, we need your love, not because we weren't loved, but because we're lovable. Our story, it doesn't define us. Our story, it doesn't have the last word. Someone said there could be a better way. Someone said all things could be made new. Someone said that there is healing and hope and beauty. So as you see us in pictures or videos or in your homes, may it remind you of your own need for healing and redemption. And then as you step towards the vulnerability that you see in our eyes and offer all the goodness and truth and love you possess, may it be in a manner that sends the message, I am choosing, wishing, desiring wholeness for you and wholeness for me. This is what you signed up for when you stepped into the role of being an advocate for the orphan and a voice for the vulnerable. So to you who are in this room, you who are filled with motivation and love and intent, let me invite you to step into the adoption and foster care world with a deeper awareness and a fresh awakening to the heart of the orphan. And as you do, may you be surprised by what you discover. Maybe this movement is less about rescuing and more about how Jesus came to save all of us. Maybe this movement is less about us needing you and more about us needing one another. Maybe this movement is less about doing God's work and more about stepping into the work God is already doing among us, within us. Maybe this movement is less about being good Christians and more about believing in one another's goodness, in God's goodness. Maybe this movement is less about defining who is needy and helpless and hopeless and powerless, and more about reminding each of us of who we are, who we were created to be. Maybe stepping into this adoption and orphan care movement is about our humanity working itself out together. And then creating a space where we invite God's healing spirit to rest upon all of us. And in his divine and glorious and redemptive way, use this movement to reveal to the world how good he is. No, you certainly don't have to, but you get to. You get to offer a sacred, stunning, beautiful picture of Jesus, of shalom. But first, we need you to listen. Please take the time to lean in, be still, be present, and listen to our hearts, because it just might change all of us.